Hello everyone, my name is Raymond Olubenga. Today we'll be talking about the web in general and an introduction to web development. This course is for people who want to move into the space of software development, starting with web. Throughout this course, I'll be teaching you on what it takes to be a web developer, starting with the introduction to web and why web is important, why web was introduced, down to the tools and technologies used in building a standard web application. Let's begin. Before I proceed, I would like to ask, what is W.W.W? Well, the word W.W.W, as we all know, stands for the World Wide Web. That's the first W for the world, the second W for the wide, and the third one for the web. Now, why the web? You will agree with me that the image you're seeing currently, it's an image of a cobweb, that a spider net, um, which represents where spider stays. But what does this have to do with the World Wide Web? Well, if you take a look at the second picture, which I just showed, you will notice this is how human connects over the web. This is how each and every human, regardless of our location, our position, our place on earth, this is how we communicate by sending ourselves message. And if you take a look at the image in comparison with the image we have here, you can see the source of connectivity the cobweb has together with this. And that's why the World Wide Web is named the web. And these are logos that was used to represent the web. So taking a good comparison to this connectivity and this in a simpler version, this is the World Wide Web logo. And this in general is what the web entails, which I will get into in coming slides. Now, what is the World Wide Web? According to a popular definition, the World Wide Web, that WWW, commonly known as the web, is an information system where documents and other web resources are identified by uniform resource locators, in short, URL, or search engines, which may be interlinked by hypertext and are accessible over the internet through the web browser. Now, you will notice that some of those words are highlighted. Those words that are highlighted, I would explain, but this is just like a general definition of it. But let's put it in simple terms. Let's simplify it. The web is a global information infrastructure. Let's take it from there. What's a global information infrastructure? That's the web serves as an infrastructure made to share information globally. You know, when we talk about infrastructure, we talk about something built for the benefit of humanity. Like in a popular saying, we say road infrastructure, school infrastructure. Those are built for the benefit of humanity. So the web is a global information infrastructure. That's an infrastructure built for the purpose of sharing information globally. A universal library, the web is also a universal library. That means it's like our local libraries we walk into in several communities or schools. But to the web, it's a library that is accessible anywhere and everywhere in the world. That's why it's called a universal library. A collection of web server, that means where we collect servers together, different servers together, and make them communicate, share information that they gathered. Now let's proceed. Let's talk about the first word being highlighted, the third word being highlighted, because we'll talk about WWW at the web. What's the Uniform Resource Locator? In short, URL. These are words or pattern used to refer to a website. In other words, they are called domain names. Now, these are words that are put together that we use to refer to a peculiar website. To you, the visitors of a website, you will call it a URL. But to the people who owns the website, it is known as a domain name. Example of Uniform Resource Locator. There are several examples and these are some of them. You can have something like www.sitename.com. That is a complete URL. You can have something like https://www.example.com. That is a complete URL as well. You can have something like http://www.newsite.ng. That's a complete URL. We also have www.blog.websitename.co.uk. That's a complete URL as well. And the one with example.co.za/contact.your.html, that's a complete URL. But let's break this down. What are the things that forms a URL? Now, part of a URL. Now, everything from the H to the last slash you're seeing in the diagram I just displayed are known as a complete URL. Some of them has few, some of them has everything. But let's break them down and see what they do. The first part of it, which is the HTTP, is known as the transfer scheme. That means it is responsible for bringing file from a server and sending it to the client display. That is you that you are visiting the website. It is responsible to send the file you requested from on the server and display it on your browser. That's what transfer, that's why it's called a transfer scheme. The full meaning is hypertext transfer protocol. Now the following one is a subdomain, which is a part of the main domain. Let's say the main domain is here is one cloud, right? And when you're hosting a website or when you're buying a domain, that's what you actually buy. But let's say you run a company and your company has other things they do, and you want to create different websites that is attached to it. Instead of you buying a separate domain, buying a separate URL, you can create a subdomain that will be similar to the same domain you have. Example is WordPress. When you are using a free WordPress account, your first time when you're building a website with WordPress, they gave you a certain code or a phrase, then they will say .wordpress.com. That means that phrase in front before your WordPress is the subdomain, which is like you are having an attachment of a WordPress attached to a free WordPress account. So that's the same thing this training is a subdomain, whereby the main domain is the name of the website. For this is Run Cloud. So that's the main and the actual domain. We have more other examples like .com.ng. That is what we call domain extensions. Now, different companies, different organizations use this, or different countries use this based on their location. .com simply means .company. .org simply means .organization. .ng simply means .nigeria. And we have something like .co.uk. That means a company in the UK. .co.za, a company in South Africa, and .ng just means simply Nigeria. And whenever you see something like .gov, means it's a governmental website. Then the following file or the following slash after it, some websites, actually most websites has different web directories, that different pages, different documents you can access on the website. In order to refer to those ones, we use what we call subdirectory in order for us to simplify where exactly we are attached to. So that's what the subdirectory is all about. So let's talk about search engines. What are search engines? We've talked about URL. Now it's search engines. Now we say these are tools on the web used to locate search keywords or phrases. In a nutshell, let's say you're looking for a peculiar website, but you don't know which website actually has it. Where on the on the web you can get it. You don't know the URL attached to that website, but you have an idea of what you're looking for, like just like a keyword or a phrase. We have some applications or some tools today on browsers that if you just type a certain keyword, it will bring examples, it will bring list of websites that have something related to what you're looking for. And those tools are what we call search engines. Example is Google, Bing, Yahoo, Badu, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, Ask.com, etc. We have many others, but to name few, these are examples of search engines, and I used to refer to them as the librarians of the web. You know, the job of a librarian is to help assist you that is visiting the library to look for the books that you don't know where actually it is stored, or you don't know which book has the information you're looking for. So all you need to do to the librarian is to tell them some keywords, some words that is related to what you're looking for, and they help you go in and search for it. That's exactly what a search engine does. Another example is a web browser. Now let's talk about web browser. What are web browsers? These are tools or applications used for accessing web resources. The purpose of a web browser is to read web resources and display them. That is, when you have when you want to visit a website or you want to check for web resources, the tool we use to do that, to view them, to display them to us, is what we call the web browsers. So their job is to read web resources and display them to us. Examples are Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, Opera Mini, etc. So these are some of the browsers we have. Another good example I would like to talk about. Now, this is where people get it mixed up. When we say the internet, what do we understand the internet to? Now, people used to mistake the internet for the web, but in reality, the internet is not the web. Now, what's the internet? And what makes it different from the web? Remember, the web is a universal library. The web is a global information infrastructure. But what does the internet stand for? Now, I'm using this to represent the internet. If we take a good look at what we have in this section, these are clients, people, different people trying to access the web. Now, this is the server, the collection of web servers. You can have multiple servers. In order for you to be able to access web servers, regardless of where they are located in the world, you need what we call the internet. So the internet serves as a means of connecting users, which is the client, together with the server, where those informations you're looking for are being stored or kept. So therefore, the internet serves as a means of communication of multiple computers, including clients, which are these, and servers globally. Okay, now let's talk about servers. What are web servers? The web server is a server software or device used for storing web resources, which can be accessible by users via the internet using a web browser. Now, remember, I said the web is a collection of web servers. That's multiple servers together makes up what we call the web. Now, the servers serve as a server software or a device or devices, let's say that in plural, where all these web resources are being stored that you, the visitor, whenever you need them, these are where those information comes from. They are like your shelves in the library where you store your books, Whenever you go to the library to access it, you just go to the shelf and pick them. So that's how a server works. These are where web resources are stored. The primary function of a web server is to store, process, and deliver web resources to clients. That's their main job. When the people who created web content, who create web resources for the benefit of users, store where they want to store those information so that anybody can access it globally, they store them in a server. Now, when it is being stored, based on requests, when someone requires it, the server goes through the process of locating it and sending it to the user based on request. Now, the communication between client and server takes place using what we call hypertext transfer protocol. I think I've explained this while I was talking about the URL, but to take you back to the URL, when I was explaining the HTTP, I told you it's a transfer scheme, which means it is responsible to bring resources from the database, the server, and send it to you, the user. So the transfer of information, the transfer of data takes place through this hypertext transfer protocol. These are images of a server. This is actually how a server looks like. Some servers looks like, if you go to a server room of any company, these are the where they store the information. So there are a set of devices, like I said, which runs with some peculiar softwares being installed on it that determines how information are being disseminated globally. And let's talk about web resources. What are web resources? These are files and documents that are accessible on the web. Anything you can download, anything you can see, anything you can view, you can do over the web are known as web resources. Examples are your web pages, images, documents, videos, audios, etc. Tools used in creating web resources are, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, MySQL, and many others. There are many other web resources out there, but to name a few, these are some of the web resources. As a developer, I'm going to take you through the journey of HTML down to MySQL. But there are other technologies. The basic technology a web developer need to have is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because these are tools that are used to build the front end of a website. What the client sees, we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to achieve them. But to work on the server, there are many tools that we can use to write the server scripts and the storage of informations and data. And that's where the PHP and MySQL comes in. They are backend technologies. While HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are front-end technologies. There are more backend technologies. We have Django, we have Ruby on Rails, we have Express.js, we have Node.js, and many others. We have MongoDB and Firebase. But for this course, I'll be taking you on PHP and MySQL, and I'll be introducing a framework called Laravel as well. But for the sake of this beginning, I just have to name few of them. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.